So the district has decided that we're going to use the SRSS-IE screener because it's free access and is time efficient for our teachers. So since this is a new tool, we need to dedicate some time to teach all of our faculty how to use it.
Yeah, and we're going to introduce it district-wide at that beginning of the year orientation day, so everyone have the same information to start with. And then we're going to provide ongoing support for teachers to make sure that they're accessing and using the technology management system that we have created.
So I know we screen 3 times a year, but when in the day do we complete it? And does every teacher fill it out in the building?
Good question. So we've decided at the high school to screen at second period, and the reason is that some students aren't in the building yet by first period, so we need a time when every student is in the building. At the middle school, we're going to screen advisory. They have a little bit of extra time and see a different context for kids. And then at the elementary school, of course, it'll be the homeroom teachers. Every teacher that has students at those times of the day will be involved in complete the screening, and we'll support them in doing so.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, only 1 hour is selected, which means only one teacher is rating each student?
So my concern is that there's maybe some teacher bias when we screen. I know that some teachers have different tolerance for behavior and that students may act differently in some settings than others or for different teachers. So I'm just concerned about how that's going to be addressed when we screen.
As people move forward with systematic screening to look to see how students are doing socially and emotionally, we want to make sure that people take the time to get these important questions answered about the reliability and validity of the tool as used. There are a wide range of screening tools currently available for use, some of which are free access and some of which are commercially available. And one of the things that we encourage district leaders to do in their partnership with Ci3T leadership teams at each school site is really to take the time to explore the different screening tools that are available and then actually learn about the reliability and validity evidence behind them. For example, the issue of teacher bias is something that comes up often as a concern because people want to make sure that they're getting accurate information to inform decision making regarding which screening tool to select that is appropriate for the value and the cultures of the community of those students that you're serving. So it is important to take the time to explore the screeners of interest and actually look at their technical manuals and look at the psychometric studies done using those screening tools so that you can be rest assured that they are valid and reliable for use with your population. On ci3t.org, there is an entire tab called Systematic Screening that is dedicated to moving those conversations forward. You'll see a list of some of the available screening tools. There are YouTube videos that you can use, but really nothing is a better substitute for taking the time yourself to look at those reliability and validity studies to inform your thinking. One thing that we want to keep in the front of your mind as you're looking at is that it is just a screening tool. They're not a diagnostic to tell you exactly how to intervene. They're just letting you know if these behaviors occur together and to a high enough degree, because for many screeners, when those behaviors co-occur, they are predicting very important outcomes for students. And in screening work, it would be far better to have more false positives rather than false negatives. And by that I mean, if I'm picking a screening tool, I have that tension between over-identifying or under-identifying students that may show soft signs. None of this is used to make a referral to the special education process, and instead we're just looking to see whether or not students are showing soft signs of challenging behaviors. And in screening, if the consequence of the screening is that the student gets extra help or that the teacher is made more aware about the importance of using low-intensity strategies with those students, it would be far better to have a false positive, meaning that I think that there might be a challenge when in fact there is not, than there would be to have a false negative. That's in prevention work, a false negative means I've overlooked a student who may need extra help. So we want to make sure that you're taking the time to really think carefully about the reliability and the validity of the tools that you're selecting. We want you to be aware that error actually happens in any screening, and so we want to be aware of the types of errors, false positives and false negatives. And we want to make sure that you have something that is reliable, valid, and sustainable for use over time. And ideally, these screening data would be looked at to examine overall level of risk in a school, in a grade level, in a classroom. It would be used to shape instruction. So I would look with teachers to see how to respond if more than 20% of the students in a class are scoring into the moderate or high risk level. I would want to use those data in conjunction with other data collected as part of regular school practices to connect students to relevant Tier 2 and Tier 3 practices that are indeed evidence-based practices. But again, it is just a screening tool, and we want to use that in conjunction with other data collected as part of regular school practices as well as diagnostics to know exactly how to intervene. So very similar to the way you would with academic screening tools. And keeping in mind that behavior screening tools, when they are the teacher completed version, they do not require time with students. They are completed independently. And the timing of the administration for those fall, winter, and spring benchmark is very important, so you'll want to check the technical manuals on those.